Hey everyone, I'm Nikki Haverstock. I'm a self-published author with I think 14 books on Amazon, all cozy mysteries, and this is the author 2 portion of my channel, and today I'm going to talk about author newsletters. So I'm going to start with the most basic, simplest explanation and then kind of move up towards advanced stuff. So if you have no idea what a newsletter is, you don't understand why people keep harping on about having a newsletter, we're going to start there, and then I'm going to kind of answer the questions that I hear a lot of beginners ask, and then I'm going to kind of move my way. So if you already have a newsletter, I'm going to kind of move towards some slightly more advanced topics. So I would say this would be applicable to everyone, but that's up to you to decide. So author newsletters, you will hear people talk about it all the time, and a common thing that happens when I talk to people who are not already in, specifically I'm going to say the self-publishing world, traditional authors, this is for you as well, but I don't know that all traditional authors do have a newsletter. You should though, because the reason that we have a newsletter, and this is basically this is an email that is sent out by the author or a company or whatever, and is sent to all of their subscribers. There are a lot of laws about newsletters, especially in Europe, the EU specifically, and then also Canada and certain countries and even states are starting to implement their own laws. You need to track that you need to have proof that people signed up for this newsletter. So to be really clear, you cannot add someone to the newsletter unless they specifically say, please add me to your newsletter. And in most cases, unless it's like your best friend who said, yeah, please, you just give them a link and you tell them to sign up for themselves, because you need to have proof that they signed up for it. It needs to have an unsubscribe button, otherwise you're considered spam, things like that. I've had people like add me to their newsletter and all that. Now that can all sound really complicated, but there are tons and tons and tons of companies that manage all that for you. So this is not like you are not there trying to figure out the laws, and that's what's so great. If you use a website, a company that manages newsletters, they should be able to take care of everything for you, such as turning on double opt-in, which means that people sign up and then they confirm it once they receive an email, and that prevents people from adding other emails as spam because they have to double opt in. It keeps track of when that happened, the date, all that proof. So it's not really a problem. It almost never, I mean, no one I know has had a problem with someone come back and saying, accusing you of something illegal. A lot of times people will be like, I didn't sign up for this. And you're like, yeah, you did. And you just ignore that. But the reason why people use newsletters, because a common thing I hear back is, well, I don't subscribe to any author newsletters. Why would I do that? And I used to feel that way, and I used to be like, oh, I don't really get newsletters. This is before I started using them. But then I realized when I really looked at my inbox, I get newsletters every day. I get them from things like Newegg, which is a place that you can buy parts and computers and mics and stuff like that. I get one every day. I get one every day from my $6 t-shirt, where I get this shirt, which is the Golden Girls as Mount Rushmore. I get one of those every day. When you really start looking, you see you get them from Amazon, you get them from Audible, you get them from a lot of places. And I realized, like, oh, I actually do kind of use newsletters, and I appreciate when my $6 tee sends out new seasonal shirts. I might not open them for 6 months, and then when I'm thinking, okay, it's time to get new shirts, I'm going to open every one of them, get the packs and all that. So so that's my plea is to you probably use newsletters more than you think. The reason you use newsletters, it is a direct line from you to them. Anyone who has tried to build a business on Facebook, if you've done it long enough, you remember what happened. They encouraged everyone to get on Facebook because it was an easy way to reach your customers. And then Facebook stopped showing your stuff to customers. And then you had to pay to advertise so that the people who signed up to see your page can actually see your page. And that is something that happens consistently on most social media. People follow you, and then at some point people are following so many people, the site, you know. So the idea is I have this list, the website manages this list of email addresses for me, and theoretically I can download, I downloaded them and back them up, but I can move to another site. So if I decide that there's a problem, I don't like the company anymore, now they're telling me we're going to charge you $3,000 a month to access these people, I can download my list, go to another company, and people do that all the time. So a newsletter is a good way of staying in direct contact with the people that have indicated that they're interested in your product. Now, a lot of people, this is another common thing I hear, is like, oh, but I don't want to bother people. I don't want to email them. I'm only going to email them when I have a new book out. Well, someone explained this to me is, how would you feel if the only time you ever saw your friends is when they had something to sell you? You go, ooh, that's what it is if you don't do it. Now, I have plenty of people who are on my list and they only open every 10th email or something like that. But I personally email weekly. I include a couple things. I include a short introduction that talks about what I'm working on, what I'm doing, things like that. I've started asking questions. I've started, I sometimes include pictures of my family as appropriate. I know not everybody wants to do that, but I include pictures of the flowers around our property, my dog. I have a picture of my son looking out a window, but it's the back of his head, so I felt comfortable with that kind of stuff. So something kind of personal, it's an update. Because I'm in KU and I have a lot of books, I can rotate through my free days. KU allows you to have so many free days every 90 days, so I will use 2 days and I will say, today and tomorrow, these books are free. Now, if you go, oh my gosh, you give away all your books to your newsletter, I don't give away all of them. They're the latest in the series are never given away until the next book is out. And the reason I do that is because every single week when I do that, my sales go up. Every single week. And if I don't include it, I don't. But what happens is I give away a free book, they download it, maybe that prompts them to buy the next book in the series. Maybe they don't, but because they increase the ranking, other people do. That is just my method. If you hear that and you go, oh, I hate that, please, you can test it. I should always say you should test it, but you don't have to do that. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying it's how I do it. And one day I'll do a whole marketing thing. Okay, so let's talk about more of the nitty-gritty. MailerLite and Mailchimp are two of the most popular. I personally think MailerLite is a little better way to go. They both allow you to start your list for free. Mailchimp goes to 2,000, MailerLite goes to 1,000. MailerLite, once you get into the paying platforms, is a little cheaper than Mailchimp. Mailchimp has a little bit less deliverability, but a little bit more features. So I started at one and I moved to the other. It's going to be up to you. If you have to push me, I say I like MailerLite better, but there you go. You create a landing page. I personally am a big fan of creating your landing page on your own newsletter, on your own website. So mine is nikkihaverstock.com/newsletter. And that is where my newsletter sign up happens, as opposed to directly on Mailchimp. And the reason is because if you one day move, now all of your old back matter, which is floating around in the universe, has the wrong link to it. So I'm still, to this day, after 5 years, moving occasionally subscribers over from Mailchimp because they have a book with an old link in it. So there you go. And that's exactly where you put it. You put your link on, like if you look down below, you'll see that I have a link somewhere in there for my newsletter if you were going to want to sign up for it. Of course, you can sign up. I won't know. You could sign up and just kind of hang out on my newsletter and see what kind of stuff I said. You can also get free books because I told you I give away free books. Your newsletter should be for sure in your back matter. I also put mine in my front matter, which is the front and the back of the book. In the beginning, I put, the other books I have for sale, this and that. I put the blurb, all that, and then I do that. I totally forgot. So you should be there. It should be on your website. It should be very clear. You can even have a pop-up, which has been on my to-do list forever, which pops up and says, do you want to join my newsletter list? This should be something that is really familiar. I know people hate pop-ups, but they work. So there you go. People who have pop-ups, a lot of people do sign up for them, especially if they understand what it is. I give away some free material, some free short stories in exchange for signing up. You need to be careful. You need to be aware of what Amazon TOS, which is Terms of Service, says about your newsletter. You can say that you want to do it in order to stay up on news and have these benefits. You've got to be careful that you're not. It's kind of like how they always say no purchase is necessary for all the McDonald's games. There's some wording in there like that, where you have to be careful about how you word it. And then you email people. So that's your newsletter. These are people who they are your most valued customers because they're people who most likely have read your book and then they say they want news. And you need to think of it this way. They want news. You need to email them. You need to tell them when your books are on sale. You need to tell them when something's free. You need to tell them when you have a new release happening. They have told you, I want to know. Imagine your next door neighbor had an avocado tree or an orange tree or an apple tree, whatever you like. And they said offhandedly, yeah, if you ever want some free avocados, we have some. And you were like, oh my gosh, yes, they're like $9 at the grocery store. Yes, I would love some free avocados. And then later on you found out that they never told you when they had free avocados because they didn't want to bother you. You'd be mad. You'd be like, I told you I wanted the free avocados. That is what your newsletter is. It's the attitude you have to have. It took me a long time to get there, but I just email every week. It's something I do. It affects my sales if I don't. And I just got comfortable with it that they have the ability to unsubscribe. I do recommend, this is getting to a more advanced tip, you can have an unsubscribe page, which mine has, which gives people the option of being moved into a new release only newsletter group. And that's where we start to get more complicated. I have a group on my newsletter that when people sign up, they go into it. It's my organic list. And then whenever I do promos and newsletter builders and things, it has its own group. And one of the groups I have is called New Release Only. And if people go to unsubscribe, they're given the option to join that group instead of unsubscribing. They can still go ahead and unsubscribe, but they have the option. And all you gotta do is type in Mailer Lite unsubscribe options or something like that. How to make it so they can join a new release only. And then the idea is I have about 40 people on those lists, and those were people who were gonna unsubscribe, but decided, oh, if I only hear about new books, that's fine too. They want to keep their newsletter, their inbox nice and clean. I've had people write me and apologize that they were going to unsubscribe. They really like me, but they're going on vacation for 4 months. Or they're going to be sick and they have to manage their email and it's overwhelming to have so many emails. They don't need to write me, but it's been an interesting insight into how that works because they're only going to be able to check their email every 2 weeks and they're worried their mailbox is going to be full and they're going to like miss bills and stuff like that. Hey, that's their business. And you just can't take it personally when people unsubscribe. They do for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're changing emails. Maybe they follow you already on Amazon and they get notifications. Maybe they follow you on BookBub or Facebook, or they're just over your genre, or, sometimes they just don't like your books. And I hate that. I think everyone should like my books, but the truth is some people don't, and it bums me out. But it's kind of one of those things, if you're going to be a writer, you've just got to kind of learn that it's a yucky part of the business, but it's the part of the business and you can't let it get to you, and know that it happens to everyone. If you were to list your 10 favorite authors, people are going to hate at least one of them. They might hate all 10. So there you go. Anyway, so I had mentioned newsletter builder. You can organic list are the people who sign up from the back of your book. And some people, they only have that. It is a very slow way to go, but those are usually the most valuable customers. There are other things you can do where you do newsletter builders, and there's all sorts of companies. They should be very clear. The people who sign up need to know what they're signing up for. They need to be aware that they're signing up for lists. I've gotten a lot of great people from that. These are people who sign up because they're passionate about books. And a lot of them, not all of them are going to become your super fans. You keep maybe the best ones I've done, I keep maybe half of the people. So they're usually $50, $100, sometimes more. And you get several hundred subscribers, and hopefully, and I usually add them to my list and I offer them a free book. I put my first in series free, and or you offer them a free story or something like that. I do a lot now. If you're hearing free and you're going, oh my gosh, I spent 10 years in this book, I don't want to give it away for free. That's fine. There are other people who have better methods to do it. When I say better methods, maybe a better method for you. This is the method I feel comfortable with. I have a great deal of faith that if people read one of my books, they're going to want to read all of them. Or the right reader will read my book and will want to read more because my books are consistent what they offer. They're funny, they're sweet. Nothing too bad happens, justice is served. The people who like my books like my books. That's all there is to it. So I don't have a problem giving them one because I have enough books to where if they buy the rest of them, I'm way ahead, way ahead. I think if they bought all of my books, it's like $30. So if I lose one book that I would only make 30 cents on, and they go and buy 30, to me, it's good. But I understand if you don't feel that way. So all you can do is newsletters, builders, perfect. So you want to ask around and get advice. I like Ryan Z and APX. I can never remember the name of it, but it's another company. I can look it up if people are genuinely interested. I've done my basis is if they give away books as the prize. So normally the way these work is they give away a bunch of ebooks to the winner. When I give away books, those are the best subscribers. You give away an Amazon card, you get a bunch of people who want a gift card, not necessarily readers. If you give away stuff, like I've done some that will do like a fantasy themed one, and all the books are fantasy themed, but the winner gets like a coffee mug and a sword. Those have been my worst subscribers because they're not necessarily readers at all. Same with gift cards. So I find the ones that are most targeted, i.e. the prize is books, those are more likely to be book people. If those books are books just like mine, if the books are actually, the prize is one of my books, these are the best subscribers. We're moving toward more advanced stuff. So if you are just at the beginning, you might want to leave at this point. It's totally fine. We're getting really advanced. But this is also where some more advanced people are probably, I don't know if anyone would listen this far. I don't know if they get through the beginning. But I do stuff like I do segmentation, where you look for people who've never clicked ever, who've been on my list for at least 6 months, and have never clicked in 6 months on anything. That's sort of a warning sign that these people just aren't interested. They're like my husband. If I go to my husband's inbox, he has thousands and thousands of unopened stuff. He signed up for something different. He thought it was something different. Like the time that I accidentally signed up for a mortuary newsletter. Not what I thought it was. Something like directors something or other, and I thought it was for film directors. This is for funeral home directors. You know, like, oops, I'm on the wrong list. And it took me a while to get around to unsubscribing. But sometimes I go and I will clean those people off the list. If you're really advanced, you might have heard of re-engagement campaigns. I actually had a professional company. They were going to introduce this service to do it for people, and so they looked for volunteers, and because I had a very large list at the time, 20,000 at the time, they offered to do it, and they did the whole thing. Anyone who hasn't opened in 6 months, who hasn't clicked at least 3% of the time, all that, they did this whole engagement campaign, and the idea is you target these people and you try to get them reinvested. They did a great job. I ended up deleting like 4,000 people who never opened anything. And the people that they re-engaged, which meant they got them interested again, after the re-engagement campaign, 98% of them never opened again. So you can do a re-engagement campaign, but what I found is that a year later it made no difference. These people still weren't clicking, they still weren't opening, all that. And so I ended up removing them from the list. There's a little bit of, I've heard some chatter that you technically can't remove people from a list. I'm not convinced that that's legally true. I can stop offering someone a service they've never paid for, so I just delete them. I've heard some people say that you're not really supposed to. You're supposed to just put them in a group, but I'm not going to keep paying for them. Anyway, you can get into all that. I just kind of stuck my foot in it with even bringing that up. Anyway, so I'm of the mind that I just can't keep paying for sending stuff to people who aren't going to open. And a lot of times what happens is stuff ends up in spam, and it's not even their fault. If you ever go into your spam folder, you know that there's stuff in there that is a legitimate subscriber. Like, I mean, I've had classes I've taken with their stuff end up there. So that is my sort of overall of newsletters. The summaries are every author should have a newsletter, because this is, you know, I can't keep my Facebook likes. I can't keep my Instagram followers. I don't have access to them directly. I don't have control over whether they see my Instagram, but if someone signs up for my newsletter, I have much more control over them. So you should definitely have a list. Traditional authors as well. You should be telling you should have a newsletter and you should be asking it to be in the back of your books. It might be something you need to negotiate for. But let's say you change companies. You want to be able to access the people that liked your books when you were at publisher A and get a hold of them in publisher B. Maybe you end up they cancel your series, but they say if you want to keep writing in it, you can. You want to have access to your readers, not just, so anyway, you should have a newsletter. It should be, and you should use it. So you should be sending it to people and not just occasionally writing when you have a release. Okay, bye.